Hello and welcome back to Heavy Metal Devils. Good morning, everyone. This is going to be the match review for Manchester United versus Wolves that happened last night. Before we get into this match review, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button on the way to 1,000 subscribers. And after last night's performance, guys, I kind of need this dopamine hit. So please hit that subscribe button because last night was atrocious. Anyway, let's get into this review. I hope most of you watched that game last night. That game was appalling. It did have first game of the season written all over it. We were absolutely lethargic. We couldn't hold on to the ball. We weren't playing like a team, while Wolves looked every bit opposite of that. They looked like a complete team. They had so much energy. The only thing they lacked was that cutting edge. They couldn't shoot the ball. They couldn't hit the ball on target. But here is one terrible fact from that game last night. Wolves had the most shots since 2005 at Old Trafford, more than any other club that has ever come to Old Trafford since 2005. Absolutely embarrassing, guys. Embarrassing. That was such a painful watch. I did not expect it to go that way. I thought it would be kind of an easy game for us, but we're looking extremely lethargic. We don't look fit, which is the exact opposite of what Eric Ten Hag has been saying. He's been saying we are extremely fit, ready for these games. It doesn't look like it. At points, it looked like we had no midfield. They were just running through our midfield with ease, going past the likes of Mount and Casemiro. Casemiro was left to do things on his own. He was getting no support whatsoever. No cohesion in the team last night. It was quite disappointing to watch. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that we won, but I feel like that was one of the wins that felt like a loss. One of the biggest instances of that I've had in the last, I don't know, last few years. I can't remember a game that we should have lost like that, but ended up winning, which is a completely good thing, by the way. When we can win while playing that bad, it should say a lot for what we can do when we actually start playing good. If we start playing good, it's the first game of the season, guys. So let's not get too carried away. We have a very, very hard game next week against Spurs. So we need to clean up our act because Spurs can attack and can score goals. So if that is not solved up, if our midfield is not sewn up by that Spurs game next week, we could be in for a world of hurt on goals when that happens. So yeah, I'm not sure what's happening right now with the midfield. If there was any game to show that we need a guy like Sofian Amrabat in the team, that was the game. That was another wake-up call game, similar to how Brighton and Brentford went last year, though we haven't gotten completely wiped out like we did by those teams. You could tell that we lack something in the midfield. I was extremely excited about this whole Mason Mount addition to the midfield, and I'm getting a little bit worried now. He hasn't had the best preseason, and it just doesn't look like it's gelling very well with Bruno Fernandes. They're both just playing way too high. They occupy almost the same space, and they're just leaving Casemiro to fend for himself. So I'm not sure how much longer we can do that. When we start playing teams like a Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal, we'll get absolutely roasted. So lots of improvements there. And look, guys, before we get into my 3 talking points, I just wanted to have a quick chat about the manager as well. He's been here for over a year now, about a year and a half, since he's agreed to sign for Manchester United. We've made a lot of signings, and unfortunately, I do love this manager. The culture he's trying to change at Manchester United is great and all, but I'm struggling still to see any definitive style of play. I feel like this is still all relied upon individual greatness, moments like that. There's not as much cohesion in the team. It's like last year was quite similar as well. We really relied on individual moments from like Bruno and Rashford. There's not much cohesion. It's very Ole Gunnar Solskjaer days. So I I want to see some style of play being implemented, whether it's that transition style, counterattack style, which we are kind of known for, but we want to hold possession. And yesterday, watching us trying to hold possession yesterday was trying to keep, it was like trying to keep water in a rocking ship, like water in a glass while you're trying to do this. It was we were just not holding on to anything. Mason Mount couldn't hold on to the ball, and just we couldn't place passes well. I thought there were a couple standout players, but for the most part, we just could not keep the ball. How are we going to be a possession based team if we can't keep the ball at home against a team like Wolves? It's kind of concerning, but we improved a lot last year after those first two games. So I would assume that Ten Hag is getting them in early today, drilling them down on their fitness. He needs to get a hold of this whole fitness thing and really get them into shape, because we were getting ran on last night like a fucking train. It was insane. I was so shocked. But anyway, should we just talk about 3 talking points? Now, everyone's going to be like, do 5 things. No, we have other people on the internet that are much better at doing 5 things we've learned and all that. So I'll let them do that. We're just going to do 3 talking points from the game. And the first talking point is sloppiness. And I've covered that earlier in this video. We were sloppy. This looked like maybe the first or second preseason game that we should be having. Could not complete passes, could not retain the ball, could not shoot the ball very well. Defensive errors, midfield errors. It just, sloppiness and team cohesion go hand in hand. If we're not playing like a team, we're going to play sloppy as a team. We need to know where everyone is going to be, where to make these passes, how to make these passes. And I expect all of that to be cleaned up probably this week before we get to Spurs. We need to have our heads screwed on tight. I almost feel like they went into that game thinking they've won already, like it was Wolves. Oh, everyone's putting them in for relegation. I did. I think they went in not expecting Wolves to come out like that. Wolves were very intense, very high energy, which caused us to be extremely sloppy and complacent. So that's something we very much need to work on over the coming days, over the coming weeks. Reduce those errors, reduce the sloppiness, because we will get manhandled by other teams. And another talking point, number 2, is I thought we looked extremely weak last night. Not in the sense of our fitness levels. Yes, our fitness levels have a lot to do with that. It doesn't seem like we're just up there with some of the other teams right now with where our fitness is. But one thing I noticed last night was how easily they would just shove our players off the ball and win the ball back. I was seeing Antony, Rashford. I even saw Casemiro, Bruno, all getting just shoved easily off the ball. No fight. No steal in there to want to keep a hold of that ball. We really had a trouble with holding that ball yesterday, whether it was misplacing passes or just being a very weak team and getting displaced and pushed off the ball like we're not even there. I thought that was actually one of the most embarrassing things. We have some big strong boys in our club, but it didn't look like that yesterday. It looked like they were way too happy to let Wolves do whatever they wanted, get the ball, shove them around, and we've got to up that physicality. Sometimes we have issues with physicality in this team, and as soon as a team gets a bit physical, we tend to crumble. So I don't know what Erik ten Hag needs to do to get that steel into the team, but I'm sick of seeing our players consistently getting shoved off the ball like we're some 12-year-old playing against a 30-year-old bodybuilder. It's just, it's kind of unacceptable. So we need to have some better ball retention, not just from passing, but also while we're dribbling and holding on to that ball. We cannot just be getting shoved off so easily. And the last talking point I wanted to make is we have no cutting edge. I said that about Wolves, but we honestly have no cutting edge. It was like that last year. If Rashford was not scoring, where the hell are the goals coming from, guys? I know we don't have a striker in right now. He's going to be back into the squad very soon, but I don't see how a striker honestly really improves that. He might get us another 10 to 15 goals, but I don't see the patterns. I don't see the plays that really get us into those scoring opportunities. It's all individual reliance. It it won't work like that. Yesterday's goal wasn't like some worked play. It was a moment of individual greatness. It was a little chip cross and Rafael Varane getting on the end of it. It wasn't like it was a set play that we've probably worked on or just a pattern of play that we've worked on. It was kind of a lucky goal, in my opinion. And it kind of goes along with what I've said about Eric Ten Hag. I want to see some style of play happening here. There's nothing happening, especially when we get to the final third. I can see a bit of style of play coming out of the back. But as soon as we start getting into that attacking half, into their final third, I get a bit lost. I don't know what's happening. It's like they're just waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for that moment. They're not actually trying to create much. So we really need to start getting a cutting edge, and we need other players to start chipping in with goals. Yes, it's the first game, but we can't rely on Rashford to score 30 again. We need goals from Mount, Bruno. We need goals from Anthony. Obviously, we'll get some goals from Højlund once he's in, but I need to see more style on how we achieve in getting these goals, not just, a random shot from 18 yards out or like a chipped cross or a deflection. We need some proper set plays, and we need some patterns of play. I'm surprised I haven't really seen that so far. I thought Eric Ten Hag would be getting that into the team, but we still have issues with this team, guys. When things kind of don't go our way, we become individuals and not a team. And I don't know what they can do to really resolve that. It's been a problem in this team for a very long time. We need to really always stick to the principles on what our style is like and not drift from that. If you look at Manchester City, you look at Liverpool, they don't have moments where individuals are trying to put everything together. They continue with their philosophy on how they play. They play as a team, they pass it around. And if they don't succeed, they don't succeed, but at least they stay in their principles. We don't do that. As soon as things start going a bit downhill, we just start fucking everything off and start playing as individuals, and it just becomes sloppy. It becomes a mess. Ten Hag needs to work on that. But anyway, guys, let's hope that was just a bump in the road. We got the win, so we can't be that mad. We got the 3 points, but let's just hope kind of what Eric Ten Hag did after the Brentford game last year, where he ran the team into the ground. He's kind of doing the same thing this week, because that was a wake-up call. Anyway, we can move on. We've got Spurs on Saturday, so stick tight. We'll be doing the match preview in just a couple days on that. But yeah, anyway, don't forget to like, share, and the big one, subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you all later on for some Manchester United news updates. Later.